Hello. Happy Sunday.
Hello. Happy Sunday.
And
Happy Mother's. Yeah,
shout out to all the
happy Mother's
moms.
Day.
Shout out to all the people who play the matriarch role. Shout out to and love to anyone who has lost their mom or lost a child.
hmm
Today can be both like beautiful and also very sad. And we are here and we're happy to be talking with you and talking about this soap that we love to hate sometimes.
hmm
And we really hope that your day is blessed. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm just today I'm relaxing. I was telling Tracy before we recorded that I rode my bike a lot yesterday, probably like around 20-ish miles, and so I'm exhausted for no reason. Well, for good reason because I rode my bike. But
Yeah, you did.
I did all that for no reason except to have a good time. So I rode with this group called Red Bike and Green, which is kind of a bike club for, our melanated friends, Black friends. And it's actually a nationwide group. It's not just based in Oakland. They have groups in Atlanta and some other areas. So
Oh, that's cool.
if anyone's inclined to get on a bike or you have a bike and you're looking for a bike group, you don't even got to be Black. I mean, you can be just a bike rider. I suggest you ride with a group because it's really fun. And most of the time they do it at a moderate pace. But it's just good to be, with people, riding with people. It's always a good time. And you're
Right.
most likely to be able to kind of take over the road and just, be in the streets and your bike, having a good time, listen to music, and then afterwards going to get drinks or whatever. That's what most people do. So yeah, I did that yesterday, and my week was just a okay week. I've been, and for those who are Star Wars fans, I've been watching Andor. I'm finally caught up. Man, that is amazing series. Amazing. I kind of want to talk about season 8, but I don't know if all of you've watched season 8. But we have a hero in season 8, and not season 8, episode 8. And
I was like seasoning.
season 8, it's episode 8. We're on season 2, episode 8. Episode
I
8
was
was
confused. I was
amazing.
like, I know I haven't missed this much end.
And for those of you who are activists who are fighting against the man, your heart will be, you will feel strong, you will feel activated, you will feel seen.
That's why Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars. And I forgot because so
Yeah.
I was telling Tanya before we hopped on that I've been feeling like sick since yesterday. So
Uh-huh.
I'm a little low energy. I have my tea, and then it just reminded me, thank you for everybody who buys us coffees. You can do that. It's in
Yeah.
the description. And shout out to Janice and Aaron who have just always been so lovely to us. Um, like even when I'm like this show, I think about y'all and other people who leave us like very beautiful notes. And so thank you to Janice and Aaron for buying us coffees. And I'm having this ginger tea, hopefully to settle my situation and feel a little bit better.
So situation. I like that.
My health situation. I was
Oh
like
yeah.
also sharing with Tanya that I've been, on my journey of like my healthcare and my health and
Uh-huh.
um closing my like rings on my Apple Watch. And so to like for the last couple of days, I've just been doing dance videos. And usually when I do them, I'm very committed. Like I'm just like,
hmm
yeah. Now, granted, I do not know
Yeah.
how I really look when I do them. Like, it's probably a big mess, but like the last couple of days, it's just been like, okay, I gotta do it. Like, wave your hands in the air, yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so, you know, Dante is lucky that I don't get to cuss him out as like ferociously as I want to cuss him out because I have limited energy. He's definitely gonna get these words.
Ooh. He's gonna, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people.
Well, speaking of, who were your performers of the week, like stand-up performances of the week?
Um, I actually want to give it out to, yes, I do want to give it out to Dominic Sempernia, who pissed us
Yeah,
all
I
off
love that. I love
this week.
Dom.
He pissed us all off this week, and he was great. I also want to give it up to Giovanni Mata, who plays
Hmm.
Gio. I want to give it up to Rena Sofer and
Yeah.
Asher and Tony. And
Yeah.
Tony, yeah, I want to give it up to all of them. They really knocked it out of the park. I was really into this story, even though, it's a story of two kids that get drunk at a party. It's something that happens all the time, but it was so highly charged, very emotional, and it's very much because of Dominic being the angry dad, but also the young kids who were really feeling, especially Asher. I mean, he was intensely feeling what was happening to him, and Giovanni and Gio, who also felt the weight of what happened, even though I felt he didn't do anything wrong. So, they both knocked it out of the park. And then Rena's over as the protective mama. Man, she gave Dominic, one like everything that he gave to her, she gave it back. So,
Hmm.
and she did it in a, she's trying to do it in a nice way.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I enjoyed it, all of them.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed on all of that.
Yeah.
Let's just hop right into the week. Let's just hop right into
Mhm.
it. First thing up, let's talk about like Dante versus the world, basically. Um, so like you said,
Yeah.
I put up two tweets this week about the show. You don't really tweet about the show that much, but I did put up two tweets this week. And the first one was like, am I seeing this wrong? Because it's not that I don't think that they did anything wrong. I think that it is not like outpaced by what Rocco did.
Right.
So, obviously we start the week. Rocco and Danny had gone to this party. Um, Danny, got a little swag. And so he was talking to people, being the life of the party. Obviously, Rocco didn't want to go, but
Hmm.
came and didn't fit in, felt really awkward. So Danny went off to like go play volleyball. When he comes back, Rocco's like passed out. Um, he goes to get Gio for help. They bring Rocco back to the boathouse, the Quartermain boathouse. Obviously, Cody is like, "What's going on here?" Notices Rocco does is not breathing well. They take him to GH. Rocco gets his stomach pumped because he has alcohol poisoning. Like any parent, Dante and Lulu clearly upset Dante more than anyone. But he just lashes out. So the first person he lashes out on is Gio. Um, how did you feel? I just want to hear. Now my thing. What did just happen? If you're
Because
watching,
your thumb keeps going up. It was like,
if you're watching on Zoom, like I just got like a really now I don't even see it. I do know that if you do like a heart thing though, like sometimes it'll give you. Oh,
yeah.
see, here it goes.
See, yeah, but
Um,
you were doing it unconsciously. So you're like
yeah,
going like this, and they're like, all right.
they're like whatever. Okay, thumbs up. Um, that's funny. But anyway, what did you think? What did you think about just like what happened? How did you read it?
So, I read it at, well, just, everything that happened, I took it as, teens being teens, doing what they do, made a mistake, it was costly, lesson learned. Um, I also assumed, I mean, from all of the stories that, or the dialogue that we heard from Dante and Cody, boo, they lived it up when they were young. And it was even said by Dante himself. Yeah, I made mistakes when I was young. I was a stupid kid, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And so I felt that yes, it was a scary thing for the parents, Dante and Lulu, to have to endure. And I can understand an initial upset and being scared. But once Rocco woke up, what I expected was a calming it down, a relaxing, kind of take look at the situation and just kind of leveling off a little bit. but it seemed like Dante was just pissed off the whole time, before,
Right.
during, and after. And so I felt it was definitely over the top on his part. Now, in terms of Gio, what immediately happened in the back of my mind, I'm thinking GH is trying to set up conflict between Dante and Gio because sooner or later they're gonna let it out that Dante is Gio's or
Right.
father. So, but even then, I felt like there was just animosity that came out of nowhere. He started talking
Right.
about, Gio, you've always been coddled, and Lois has always protected you, and you've never learned anything. And I think the last sentence he said on one day was, "Not this time." And my immediate reaction was, when was he in trouble before?
Right.
I'm just like,
Right.
we have been set up to have Gio be like the squeaky clean angel who plays violin and has been adopted by the family, and he's just amazing, sweet man. And here Dante is just like mad, and like he had like some resentment built up that he never
Right.
talked about. So it was shocking to hear him say these things like, you're spoiled and you never learn your lesson and you're always coddled and all this other stuff. And so part now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, what, was he jealous of Gio? Was he jealous of the
It's
attention
weird.
that Gio got? Because it was really weird. So
Hmm.
I felt it was definitely over the top. And also just thinking about like Gio, they kept saying Gio's an adult. Gio is someone over 21. He's not the same as an adult. And I think, there's just been messaging that's kind of mixed where we have to give people in their 20s a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, scientifically, we've been hearing that their brain is 100% developed. So, yes, Gio may have known he's blacked out, he shouldn't be here. He may not have known he's blacked out and struggling breathing. That means alcohol poisoning. Not everybody knows that. And so for Dante to just kind of be like, you should have known, you should have known. Dante's forgetting he's a cop. He has extra information that nobody else probably really thinks about. So for him to be like, you should have known was definitely really over the top for me. So that's my thought about Gio and Dante. We can, I want to hear what you're thinking of. If we want to go person by person or just,
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
okay. Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, everything that you said is spot on to me. That's
Yeah.
also how I felt. I
Yeah.
thought part of it is, there's like the character issue of what happened with Dante, but then there's also the show issue of how lazy they are with like telling story.
All right.
How are we supposed to believe that Rocco was that drunk and he didn't throw up at all? Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known even when Cody said something was wrong. I was like, "What's wrong?" I wouldn't have even read that as
Right.
alcohol poisoning. And so to like say that is interesting. Then to say like the Gio's irresponsible. If Gio's irresponsible, he would have just left Rocco on the beach.
You'd be
Like,
like, yeah, oh, well, that's his problem.
I'm partying, I'm here with
you know?
Emma. Right.
Right.
Um, so I get the initial like you are like older than them. You should have done something different. And there seems to be, aside from Lulu, unfortunately, no responsibility put on Rocco. It was
Mhm.
like Danny did not um and I think Rocco ended up saying this later on during the week. Danny did not pour alcohol down Rocco's throat. Nobody forced him to do that, and nobody even thought he would do that. You Danny gave him a cup, and Rocco was like, I was taking shots on the beach.
Mhm.
Who would have believed that that was the case? So that was
Mhm.
like the one piece of it. And then the other thing I was thinking about is like the whole, like to your point, this whole blow up, like you're coddled, you're this, you're that. Well, if you've ever been around a prodigy child, which whether that's sports, whether that's music, whatever it is, those kids are always coddled.
Yes.
Like,
I actually read a book. There was a murder mystery book that I read that's all about this child prodigy and how
mhm,
he was protected. And so a murder happened around him because of him. because of the
Mm,
need to protect him. Crazy. Because
yeah.
they want to protect that talent more than anything.
Hmm. And so we've seen people care about him in that way. And
Right.
in addition to that, we've seen him be responsible. We've seen him step up for the family. We
Right.
have not read Gio as being someone, even if he's made a mistake or two, we have not read him as being somebody who is just extremely irresponsible and someone who doesn't care. And
Hmm.
then finally, like, he's also an orphan. So Dante has no idea, like, obviously that's his kid, but what you do know is he doesn't have a mother or a father. And all of these people who you know have stepped up around him his whole life.
Right.
So to like
Who pointed that out to him? I can't remember if it was
Lulu,
Lulu, okay, or Lois. Yeah.
it was Lulu. And
Yeah.
and so, obviously we know that they want to set up this drama. But there also has to be like because even when we say, oh, things are forced to manufacture, I mean, it's a show, things are gonna be forced to manufacture, but we do want to at least see a good story roll out. And
Hmm.
it feels like the show is just unable and unwilling to take these chances. So we should have seen Gio maybe get into a car accident with Rocco, like
Hmm.
something that actually like felt like it was his fault, as
Hmm.
like as opposed or actually him like violently being sick or
Or
something that
I
would have
mean,
made us say, Gio, you should have stepped up more as an adult. I didn't see that.
yeah, I mean, even the whole struggling breathing, and this I'm not blaming on the actor, but we didn't get any indication he was struggling breathing until
No.
someone said that, you know?
Hmm.
So it's like, so yeah, again, it was weird because it did look like he was just passed out. Not that,
Hmm.
any of the
Hmm.
danger signs that we normally associate with alcohol poisoning. And
Hmm.
I have to admit, I don't know what the danger signs of alcohol poisoning is. So I wasn't even like, I'm not saying that I'm a professional and able to spot things. I'm a normal person. And so
Hmm.
to expect that of kids is a lot, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely over 21 and I've been around drug people, but I don't know what the signs of alcohol poisoning is. So,
Hmm.
that was over time.
Yeah.
So, so going from Geo to who else did he start yelling
Oh,
at?
but
He was
also
yelling at,
like I was an RA in college, so I have dealt with
right.
alcohol poisoning. And
Uh-huh.
so typically you'll have something like it's not as subdued. It's not like
Okay.
he kind of was like, I want to like go, or I just want to lay down here. Usually it's like drunk to the point of aggression, right? Like a mood
Okay.
change.
Oh,
And I've never dealt with it if somebody has not been like violently ill.
like,
It's
yeah.
never just been like, okay, I'm sick, a little tired, alcohol poisoning. It's always been a little bit more. And I know it's a
Uh-huh.
soap, and there's like that suspension of disbelief. And when you hand out like real things, it's distracting when people who know how those real things show up, like don't see
Yeah.
those real things show up. So it also could have been like somebody was like putting drugs in the drink or whatever. That's what they're doing at PCU. Whatever it is, it really needed to be more than what we saw. And it just wasn't. They didn't
Yeah.
do a good enough job of like showing us that.
Yeah.
And then for
I mean,
Dante to then believe that Gio gave him alcohol after he said he didn't.
yeah. So that again, that assigning him of irresponsibility was crazy. Because Gio has shown us nothing but being at least somewhat responsible and
Hmm.
at least thoughtful. And to have Dante immediately be like, well, you probably gave him the alcohol and I'm going to arrest you. He did that with Gio and he did that with Jason, saying threaten, arrest or threatening. I guess he used Danny for Jason, saying
Hmm.
Danny could have been an accessory after the fact. I think one of the few things that really what I don't like about Dante is he immediately becomes very self-righteous and very condescending when he feels he's right. And so he's like, well, you should have this or you should have that. you are a bad person and all this. He judges people really harshly, and that's the one thing I don't like about him. And he did that when he was trying to protect somebody, when he's trying to protect somebody. So when it was with Michael and going to jail, he judged everybody and was very self-righteous and very like
And what's wrong?
wrong. And he's reverting back to that same type. And I don't know if it's Lulu that brings it out of him.
Yep.
I don't know, but I'm just like, he was never like that with Sam. He was very more
Nope.
laid back. He was very
Nope.
easy, going and, understanding and chill and sexy and hot. Now he's like angry and judgmental and he's still a
Hmm.
little hot. But yeah, it's like
You can't
his
help that.
personality is just different.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
really
Dom is
weird.
always going to be a little bite-sized snack no matter what happens. But Dante's
Right?
gonna. But
Fonte is a little asshole sometimes, but he was
but I
totally different with
agree.
Sam.
I agree, and I do believe that Lante. That I've never cared for Lante. The only time I ever liked Lulu was when she was with Johnny,
Oh yeah, that
and
was great.
hmm
They
and
need to bring him
so
back.
um, I really felt a way about Lulu treat because I used to like the Lulu Carly relationship. And so
Yeah,
I felt a way about Lulu choosing Dante over Carly back in
yeah,
the day. And
yeah,
it wasn't even like a um she didn't even hesitate. It wasn't even like, oh, I'm wondering if this is the right thing. It's like, no, Dante's right because I said Dante's right. And they
hmm,
bring this like self-righteousness out of each other.
yeah,
So let's actually talk about like the Danny and Jason of it all. So obviously we also have the week starting with Dante and Lulu having this argument. Dante tells her that, he still loves her too, and that, but he also loves Sam, and so he's grieving.
right.
And Lulu goes, "That's why I didn't say anything to you." And I was like, back it up, Lulu. That's not why you didn't say anything to him. Cody
Hmm.
stopped you from saying something to him. You was gonna run for it, right into the door and tell him. Cody was like, I don't know. Then also Pete, she was like, Maxie had no right to tell you.
Right.
Oh, so you think that when you have secrets, other people shouldn't tell them? Is that what you think, Lulu?
Oh, that was my
Interesting.
hot take. My hot take was like, you're so offended that Maxie told you about your secret love, but you feel you have every right to tell the whole world about Brooklyn and her secret.
Come on.
It was just
It's
like,
wild.
it's very wild. It's
Uh,
ironic. It's just
and
crazy.
but it's also like, so they canceled on Rocco and Danny,
Yes.
which is why they ended up. I mean, Danny was trying to like go to the party anyway, but they ended
Yeah.
up canceling. So Dante has this like confrontation with Jason. Now, I really enjoyed the Jason Danny scene.
Yes. I loved it.
Um, it's the kind of parenting that you have to do when you have not been there for your kid their whole life.
Right. I mean, and the funny thing is it was another hot take of mine. When Dante first confronted Jason, because he went over to Sonny's house and
Hmm.
he tells Jason, well, he tells his dad it was great seeing you because it's when Sonny comes back from surgery, says great to see you, and he's like, not so great to see you. And then Jason's like, what? And he's like, your son almost killed my son. And he goes on a rant. One thing I love about Jason is that when people yell at him, he just looks at them and then he ignores them. So
Right,
I
right.
was like, my
Hmm.
first thought was like, Jason, I love how unbothered Jason was by the whole Dante rant. He just looked at him and was like, all right, I gotta go. And I
I
try
gotta
to
go take care of
mimic
my
that.
kid. Yeah.
Right. I try to mimic that in my life when I'm confronted by people who I don't like. I just look
Hmm.
at them and then walk away. 'Cause I'm just like, I'm not
Okay.
about to engage in your, shenanigans. And so he did that, but he actually did internalize it.
Yeah,
And
he did.
that's the problem because Dante goes off on Jason as if like you need to do more to parent your child. And the thing is when he talked to Danny, Jason was like, okay, I've given you free reign, but now that's different. That's going to change. You have to check in with me every night by 9 p.m. And the funny thing is Jason didn't tell Dante any of that. He just took
Right.
whatever crap that Dante was giving to him. And then he
Mm-hmm.
internalized it and felt like, I'm not a good father, I'm not this. Because, he feels that. He understands that he has not been in Danny's life.
Right.
And he doesn't actually, I think like any parent, no parent really knows how to be a parent. So he's just doing the best that he can as he
Right.
can. And as mistakes come along, you adjust and refigure. But he internalized all that hate that Dante gave to him, which is unfortunate.
It was really
Poor
unfortunate. And
Jason.
I will say
Yeah,
that, I mean, obviously anybody who's watched this show knows that how much I love Sam.
right.
And like how her absence is just so clearly felt. And this week really felt like, look, I'm not silly. I understand that they are moving Lante back together. That's clear. But it
Hmm.
felt like such a slap in the face to Sante, where it was
Hmm.
like, it was almost like Dante was gonna just like give up on Danny. So after all of
Hmm.
this, like Sam wants the family together, these boys are brothers, whatever, whatever. It was like your son did this thing to my son, when that's not the way they look at each other. And you helped raise Danny. So even when he was like going off on Jason, he was like, and this is what happened when Sam da 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 da. Okay, Dante, so you admit that somebody can have good present parents and the kid
Hmm.
can still mess up. Because
Hmm.
when Danny was out drinking in the park or whatever it was, Sam was very present and active in his life. It was also just like this very weird way that they frame what happened. And this is again another thing that happens on GH, where they frame things in a way that don't match with what we're seeing. So they're like, Carly goes to Danny, and she's like, and I like those scenes actually. I did like Carly talking to Danny.
Hmm.
I know that that was controversial, but that's okay. Um, and so she was like, you're an adrenaline junkie or something like that. I'm
Hmm.
like, what are you talking about? Like, he went to play volleyball with some girls. I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand where the adrenaline is. Like, he didn't hop on a motorcycle. He didn't like. What are we saying? What are we saying? He went to a party. He's a kid. And then
right.
I don't know if you saw that they tried to frame. Oh, Danny. Like she said, Danny is your little, or Rocco is your little brother. I was like, Rocco's a little brother. What happened?
Well, first of all, I think technically people are saying that on social media. Technically, Rocco is supposed to be older than Danny. That's what somebody had said. But
I
at the
don't
end,
think that's true.
yeah, someone had said that. I was like, oh. But
No, I
in
don't think
any
so.
case, they're almost like they're Danny Rocco's younger than Danny, right?
I mean, I don't know how they aged them up, but I do believe that Sam had Danny
Danny
before,
before
yeah, before Rocco
Luke.
came along. Because Lulu wasn't pregnant with Rocco; it was Britt, right? And then he was
Yeah,
Ben.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what was happening there. Because I feel like at that point, Jason was gone, and and Billy Miller was there
right.
when Rocco came around. So anyway, in the chronology of the show, Danny's older, but also Charlotte should have been in the same grade as Aiden, and they had her dating Jake.
Yes.
So I don't think that that necessarily matters, but it definitely felt forced. Like, he's your little brother. You're a little brother. Stop it.
Like he's not a baby. He's all like, and he trusted when Rocco said he would be fine. He trusted that his brother would be
Hmm.
fine. They're like, you separated from him. I'm like, yeah, I know that's generally like girls generally stick together when they're in a place. But I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the same for men, or guys. Um, and again, it really kind of seemed like an innocuous thing. He kept inviting him. He's like, Rocco, you should come with me. We're gonna play volleyball. And Rocco's like, no, no, I don't want to. I'm gonna stay right here. Oh, there's a lot of choices that Rocco made himself that put him in the situation. Like we had talked about over Twitter, Danny said, just hold on to the cup. Danny did not say, yeah, just drink a little bit so you'll be fine. No, he didn't say any of that.
Hmm.
And Danny did not tell him to go and do drinking games. He just said,
No.
just be chill. Just chill out, say hi, be friendly. And it was almost immediately that Rocco started drinking. Even in Danny's presence, he was drinking. He made that
Hmm.
choice.
Yep.
So, but I
Yeah.
kind of want
It
to talk
really.
about, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it just really frustrated me that Dante, and the way he treated Danny piece of it, him going off on Jason about him, the way he fathers. I
Yes.
just I was like, look, I get that you're mad and you're upset. And I do know that he said something to Sonny about like, I don't know what I would have done if I would have lost him or like
Hmm.
lost Rocco. I would have liked to see him say, and I love Danny like he's my own, like we've already lost Sam. I couldn't have lost my son. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
um, this is yet another like kid who lost his mom. And I mean, I'm glad that we didn't see Dante go off on Danny. Like even
Hmm.
the threats that he made about like Danny could have been an accessory or whatever
He
were
didn't
to
do that to
Jason.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, so I am glad about that. And that, he was kind of jokey with them when he saw them together. But everything up to that, I mean, I needed that like kind of pressure valve released at the end of the
Hmm.
week with Dante because the rest of the week he had me furious.
Hmm. And I like he did at that last episode. He's like, you guys are together. You guys deal with things together at the end of the
Hmm.
day. I would have liked him to do a mea culpa. Well, he did. He apologized to Lois. He didn't
Yeah.
apologize to, yeah, he didn't apologize really to Jason.
I don't think he thinks
And
he has to apologize to Jason.
right. So I think he went off on a lot of people. I'm just like,
Hmm.
he should apologize to everybody who was around, who was a witness to him going off for no reason.
Yeah.
Um, Personally. And he needs to apologize to me because I'm
Right. Well, yeah, and then like to um hear Gio go back and talk to um Emma about it and say like this is what Dante thinks of me. So now we do have this like kind of drama with him.
yeah.
Um we do have like Chase kind of like standing up for Dante a little bit. So that kind of Chase knowing all of that is about to get like really, really messy. Um you had
Mhm.
something that you wanted to say before we got into this next piece?
No, we covered it when you brought up the Mia Culpa. So I
Hmm.
wanted to, yeah, because I just wanted to talk about that. He apologized to Danny, or someone apologized to Danny and Rocco and to Lois, but he did not apologize or do a Mia Culpa with Jason or Gio,
Yeah.
who deserves it the most, I think.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if Gio will even accept the apology because it did feel like it did feel like Gio saw something that was like, oh, this guy has never dealt with me or never liked me. And I think
Hmm.
that if he would have just said, you were irresponsible, you should have done this thing, whatever, that would have been one thing. But the
Hmm.
like pressing on whether or not Gio gave him alcohol, I think that
Hmm.
I would imagine that for Gio, that's a whole nother like, oh, you really don't even know me and you have known me my whole life and you think the worst of me.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it
yeek.
was pretty harsh.
Well, let's talk about Lulu as she continues this focus into this adoption story. So she obviously sees Lois going off on Dante, sees how protective that Lois is of Gio. Lois is some weird, like, you don't even know who he is, and then kind of flips it. And so that like
Hmm.
puts Lulu's antennas up. And she's digging deeper. She talks to Ned and like trying to figure out where Lois was with Brooklyn. So
Hmm.
Ned, she kind of couches it as, "Oh, I wanted to make sure that you were gonna like endorse my mom," but then starts asking him questions about Brooklyn and Lois and music, and so she's starting to see that Brooklyn was out of high school for a little bit, which would have been around the time she was pregnant, and she seems to be putting two and two together with Gio.
Hmm.
Girl, where's
She's not even
Charlotte?
she's not even pretending that this is about a story that she's writing now. Now
Right.
she's digging deeper into Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Right. So it's yeah, it's definitely going into territory. And she's been told by several people, by Carly, by Laura, girl, slow your roll. And she's not.
Hmm.
She's not even taking the advice of people who she respects.
Hmm.
It's like, and they, and people that even Dante's asked her. Case is
Hmm.
pseudo threatened her. He didn't go through with the threat. So she's just
Hmm.
digging her heels and just being very stubborn about it, and in such a mean way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like she's probably going to be the one that's going to tell it all.
Yeah, everybody
And
thinks that
yeah.
everything's gonna culminate around the nurses' ball. Because
Mhm.
Brooklyn is supposed to like Gio's supposed to be performing at the nurses' ball. Brooklyn's supposed to be like managing and producing and whatever she's doing with them. So it
Mhm.
does feel like stuff is going to like blow up around that time. I wish that they would dig back more into like recent history and
Mhm.
remind and like say something like, Lulu, this is what happened with Peter and with Nathan. That you keep trying
Yeah.
to do these stories that get into people's business that you know,
Mhm.
and you're not doing the work around them. Like you're not actually having any integrity around them. You're
Mhm.
couching it as something where that it's not. Around, so
Mhm.
you can be like, you have gumption as a reporter, and you have no like qualms about ruining people's lives. So for me, I mean, I appreciate that Carly. I don't believe that the Robin thing made sense, but I appreciate that Carly like, no, girl, and that um, Laura is like, no, girl. And
Mhm.
again, where's Charlotte?
Charlie is in the attic with everybody else.
Like
Oh.
Charlotte's family in town right now, the people that she's close to are Lulu and Laura.
Right.
So even when Lulu was like, "I'm leaving," whatever. Rocco, like, "Are you gonna be okay by yourself?" Where's Charlotte? We spent all this time, all this story real estate on getting Charlotte back.
She ain't here. Where's she at? Why wasn't she at the party? At the beach party? She could have been watching too.
Well, I don't know how old she's supposed to. Well, oh yeah, because she's supposed to be
She's supposed to
around
be the
Jake's
same age as
age.
Jake's age. She should be like hanging out with Danny and Rocco at the very least, if not with the rest of the team. And why can't Jake be back on the screen? Oh,
Or
wasn't he
30,
supposed to go
year
to
old
it like
Aiden.
a wasn't he like a summer school person or something? What he was supposed to go somewhere for school. It
Jake,
wasn't like
yeah,
permanent
Spain or
school. It
somewhere.
was yeah, it wasn't a permanent school thing. It was more like a fellowship, right?
No, I thought it was school. I don't know. Don't make
Oh,
me lie. I don't know. I don't know
it
what's
don't
happening to
matter.
Lakeside Baby.
He needs to be back.
I don't know what
It's
happened to Lakeside Baby. That has nothing to do with me. And now that we are, 35-year-old Aiden, we can't even get Hudson back to play Jake. And so I don't care about Jake the only reason I care about Jake is because I really like Hudson as actor. If they had to bring back another Jake, I'd be like, whatever.
35-year-old lady.
um, so another story that has really annoyed me, Drew and this drugging. So obviously, like Brad went to Portia and was like, You need to give me whatever because I know. And Portia was like, no, absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna set you up. And I don't know why Portia didn't think about this, but Brad went
Drew.
to Drew, right to Drew. So now Drew knows. Drew, before he did, Drew gave Brad $500,000 to tell him. Apparently, Brad was like jealous because he saw Lucas with his new man, and you know what? His new man is fine, so I get it. um,
Ah,
and yeah, but so Drew knows that Portia did it. Portia doesn't know anything about what Drew knows. Brad has quit, and nobody knows anything about Nina. I need Portia to get some sort of win. This is getting absurd.
she just keep digging herself deeper and deeper, and it's crazy. I'm like, all she has to do is tell Curtis. But now she can't really tell Curtis because now she got to admit that not only is Drew blackmailing her, but yeah, I actually took some ketamine and partnered with somebody else to track him. She has
It's
no leg to
just,
stand on.
it's just everything that she's done is worse than the original thing that she did.
Yes, which just makes it so sad. Like you're just getting yourself into deeper and deeper trouble over a simple thing that you could have easily told him and would have been over the next day. He might have been a little mad, but he would have gotten over it. But now you won, you agreed to manipulate him into doing something, and you agreed to, and then you also on the side did even made even a bigger mistake that jeopardizes your job. You know, like you could have passed off manipulating the results like as a fluke or a mistake. I didn't mean it, and it was just a clerical error on my part, but I covered it up because I was scared. You purposely asked for ketamine. You purposely asked for this man's medical records. You cannot get away with that. That is definitely dereliction of duty. So no one's going to trust you, no one's going to work with you. And you totally doubly lied in the major way. And Curtis finds any kind of lie unforgivable,
Oh my God.
which is why you were afraid in the first place. This is a worse lie than anything you've ever told. And he's simultaneously getting a little bit closer to Jordan, who's telling him everything.
Come on.
Woo.
I I just also feel like it wasn't a compelling like the Curtis when this first started, Curtis knew everything except for the fact that Brad was blackmailing her.
Hey.
And so instead of just telling him and being like, Drew, F off,
Mhm.
she then ended up getting further into a rabbit hole of being blackmailed. What are we doing? My girl has had no wins, just losses, and a husband that's looking at somebody else. When we see him on screen, we see him with Jordan
Right.
or with one of his random white ladies.
And now we got to add Laura to the list of white ladies. He's always with Laura
It's
or Nina.
just, yeah. And so to like hear them both be like, oh well, you know, we I'm not I'm pro I'm not pro Sonny, I'm pro Laura, and you have Drew like bringing up Trina to Portia. Did we not forget that Curtis was shot because of Sonny?
Mm.
They just do stuff. It's like day to day, week to week, they just make and do stuff up. I wasn't a fan of it. But we do know that Willow is standing by her man.
Stupidly so.
And also just like not putting your children first. Because even if you believe Drew, until he has like concrete solid proof, You should not be like seen hugging up on him. I just don't see enough. I mean, we did have the scene last week of Amy being like, girl, but
You ain't gotta do it.
we need more of that. Like,
Right.
this is wild. She is still wearing Michael's ring. Girl, give Lila her ring back. I said it
All
on
up
like
on
you wake up.
television. All up on television with Lila's ring on her finger,
Come
kissing
on,
on another man.
hugging and kissing on your husband's uncle, a man old enough to be your father, and nobody is reporting this as it being shady.
Mm.
And then she goes to Curtis and was like, "Thank you for reporting the facts. Can you report more facts?" Girl, get out of here.
Not a fact. But what if he was drinking ketamine? There's no proof that he didn't actually take it, which is what Curtis said. I was surprised that she went to Curtis in the first place because she knows what happened with Curtis and Michael and Drew. Yeah, she thinks that she can go to Curtis and take Drew's side.
She's dumb.
She is.
I
It's
was like, when
crazy.
she went to go see Portia, I was like, Portia, you not low, please. Portia, you not low. You're doing too much. You're too public facing. Please stop. Um,
Right.
but she is standing by her man, and it's a mess. Obviously, like I said, Nina is upset about it, but she ain't caught up in nothing. She's not getting called out like Portia is, and it was Nina's idea.
I know. Because it was so funny. I mean, the Carly described the fallout to a T, and yet still Nina's getting.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah, I'm upset that they aren't none of them. So yesterday on Friday's episode, Sasha was told that Willow went to see Michael and Michael refused, and then Sasha tells Jason, and Jason had a reaction, but then kind of just runs over to Sonny's house like it wasn't a big deal. Why are people making it more of a big deal that Michael refused Willow? Does Carly
Hmm.
know? I don't remember if Carly knows this.
Carly knows because when she was at the house, at Nina's
Oh, that's
house,
right.
Willow told her. And even with what that, Willow was like, "Don't my kids." Da, da, da. She came over to Nina's house. You don't actually run that. She didn't come to
Yeah.
your house.
But
Um,
Carly took it as well. She wasn't shocked. She was shocked, but she wasn't like, that doesn't sound like Michael. It's more like, yeah, well, obviously Michael's pissed off at you. And
but it's very
Jason,
much
we
like
don't
finally he's wising up.
finally he's wising up, big deal. Jason just we don't get to actually we see his facial reaction, but we don't get him thinking about, wait a minute, does that sound like something Michael would do?
Hmm.
Let me go and investigate. Or none of them are like, let me call Michael and actually understand why he chose not to see.
Right.
None of
Or
them
just
are
to
doing
see
that.
how he is
To
because he
see how,
did that.
yeah, or how he's respond. Like they could easily be calling Michael. Are you okay after seeing Willow on national television? you know, and then having a conversation with him. They
Hmm.
think, I don't know. I mean, he calls them about something else. They have some kind of conversation. They make it sound like it's difficult and it's painful, but they are talking to him.
He's
So
FaceTiming with
not
the kids because of Christina.
right. So not one of them is like, how come you turned Willow away? And then we find out the truth. Actually, I didn't turn Willow away. Willow came and see me. What? What? None of that is
Right.
happening. I'm upset.
Hmm. I was also upset by Willow's insistence of like trying to see Sasha because Sasha is your patient. She's not anything else when she's in this hospital. She had a baby before, like a stillborn baby before. She clearly is like, she's pregnant. You as a nurse shouldn't do anything to upset her. Matter of fact, when you
Mhm.
see Sasha shouldn't even have to have asked you for another nurse. When you saw Sasha's name, you should have said, "Let me pass it on to another nurse."
But she had an agenda, right? Because she wanted to make nice for the family. She needs a friend. Nobody likes her anymore, so she needs to have Sasha as a friend. That's what she wants.
Like, girl, get out of here. Um, so Rick and Ava are stepping up their blackmail. So we did have a scene with Lucky and Christina, where Christina is
Mhm.
like telling Lucky, my mom was going to commit me, and Lucky's like, well,
No,
um,
when don't you think it's a little true?
mm. And so Rick apparently set up like some kind of shell corporation, and is extorting, and now him and Ava are extorting Alexis and the Castellans for more money. Um, I don't know. I'm not a fan of the story. I don't really like anybody in the story. Um, and I particularly don't care for Rick now being the mastermind of it. Like that's been like my issue, like as if Ava can't do this herself. I'm not a fan, but I guess people want Alexis and Kristen to have her come up and I can't disagree with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree morally with Rick and Ava stepping it up because again, it does like the way that Alexa says it, the more that you ask, the more likely I'm going to get caught. And Rick goes just like, well, you just better do something. And I almost feel like he does want her to get caught. But at the same time, even though I don't agree with it morally, I enjoyed it. So I enjoy Rick and Ava needling Alexis and putting her in a hard spot. I think Alexis deserves it because she's morally self-righteous 100% of the time. Whereas Dante does it occasionally when he's around Lulu, whatever. Alexis is on this high horse forever, and I can't stand her. So yes, I do enjoy it. Kudos to Ava and Rick, even though what you're doing
Hmm.
is wrong. You're wrong, Ava and Rick, but I enjoy it, Ava and Rick. And Christina is, my last nerve. Yeah, both Alexis and Christina deserve it. Molly doesn't deserve it though. Molly's gonna be hurt.
I mean, Molly has annoyed me anyway, with even the like going right to Alex or right to Christina and not asking what happened. I
Hmm.
also am just like constantly just in disbelief at the way that they've disappeared TJ.
Girl, yes. Still,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So, um, Sidwell. Okay, so we have like the Legion of Drew, which is like Tracy, Sidwell, freaking Jordan, like all these people who are like trying to like take the peers away from Sonny. Here's my thing. Like, it has to be one or the other. Either it's petty and you don't like Sonny, or it's you want safety. Because what I don't, we have been told for decades that if Sonny is not in the mob, that someone else will show up and it will be worse. And so, kind of the balance that people are making with a mobster being there is that a worse mobster could be. We also don't really see, I mean, we do, but we don't see like this huge like uptick in violence as a result of Sonny being there as the mob. So we had the shooting at the Metro Court. It was all over the place. I didn't know if it was Sonny or Anna. We find out it was Sonny, but then that was Pikeman, and now Pikeman is the WSB. And the person who was actually shot is like not for taking down Sonny. So it's just like we don't get enough of like the supposed danger for us to believe that people would vote against Sonny. Like it's not a constant shootout at the piers in the docks. Like we don't hear that.
Hmm.
So to me, it just is another example of like laziness of y'all aren't even telling us that this stuff is happening off screen. You just are making it up now. And so now Sidwell also wants to buy the piers and is like, well, like Laura put it on the ballot, Laura can take it off. What are y'all talking about? Did y'all consult with anybody who does politics? No, she can't. That's not how ballot initiatives work. Like, what are we talking about? If something is like on the ballot, it
First of all,
doesn't get like taken up.
that was also another hot take of mine. I think I wrote it on Thursday or something. I said, yeah, I like how Curtis said Laura putting the referendum on the ballot, as if he wasn't the one that told her to do it. He's like, he actually had a whole conversation convincing her why she should put it on the ballot to help protect her case in the mayor. Now he's kind of like distancing himself on it, sir. Anyway, but yeah, I think they just don't like Sonny. Now it's not about safety. It really isn't, even though they say it. But that's
Mm-mm.
what politics does that, right? The whole thing is when you're running for office, especially now, even in the current times of America, it's all about safety. And it's all about certain people's safety, not
Yeah.
everybody's safety.
Yeah.
The perception of safety also, it's not about actual safety, it's the perception of.
Right.
And so they like Sonny doesn't actually have to be dangerous. He can be perceived to be dangerous, and that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in Tracy's mind, it's just I hate Sonny. Ned's mind is I hate Sonny. And that's all the reason that they need. And Drew, of course, as well. Um, the
But
funny
it's
thing is
also
I don't even know if Sonny has not still has not done anything to Drew. Even
no.
in his current even in his current iteration of being evil, Sonny doesn't even pay attention to Drew, but yet Drew has it out for Sonny. Really, he has it
Mm-hmm.
out for Jason. And I guess getting rid of Jason is getting rid of Sonny is getting rid of Jason in Drew's mind,
Right.
which is crazy. And again, yeah, Jason own half of the docks or something? Or no?
I guess though, I don't know. I really don't know. I was confused by it. But it also is just like we do all remember the dude is an East African warlord, right? It doesn't
Right.
even make sense that Sonny would like even consider giving this guy his doc or his peers. And
Right.
that like he is not being considered as the person who's gunned for Sonny. Like nobody is
Right.
putting this together. What are we doing?
Right. And I think it's like it could be if Sonny it seems like now Sonny's actually considering giving it to him.
Hmm.
But it could have been an argument his Sonny's counter argument is if he was really on his political game, getting the IE together and be like, who is Sidwell? And why are we trusting him? That kind of thing. But no one is thinking about that. It's just all focused on getting rid of him and trusting this new guy who come out of nowhere, who we already know has done horrible things, but he's better than Sonny.
Right.
Stupid.
Yeah. It's very bizarre that this man has moved into town, has been like the person who was like, I'm the only benefactor of the nurses ball. I live on Windermere. I'm doing this. I'm like putting all my hands everywhere, and no one is concerned about this. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
You
now I
know
got
who would have
my
been
hands in deception.
you know who would have been better at that?
Hmm.
A war against Sonny would be the Cassadine.
Yes.
They need to take Nicholas out of jail to get
Well,
him back in the fray.
I think it's
But
because they just like don't know how they would frame it. 'Cause, I don't know.
good
Um,
behavior, whatever.
no, no, no,
Jason.
frame because they would have to like they couldn't get Nicholas out of jail to be ruthless. I don't think.
Okay.
In addition to the fact that it's not the Nicholas that we know and we would accept to be going up against Sonny.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think
I don't.
Nicholas in the past has gone up against Sonny. he doesn't have to be ruthless and mean about it, but he has had it out for Sonny in the past. So he definitely has a motive
Hmm.
and prior anger and angst against Sonny. And it would be more believable. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're stuck with the story that we
Unless Sidwell is
have.
happens to end up being a Cassadine. But the other thing
Mm.
that's like confusing to me is now Marco has um like he is taking Sidwell's business to Diane's farm.
Right.
So I'm like, how did this happen?
Well, he already had Sidwell as a client, so when he started working with Alexis, now Sidwell is Alexis's client too, Diane's
But you
client
would
too.
have thought that in order to hire him, they would say, no, you can't do that.
They didn't. They just said that there can't be any conflict of interest with Sonny. That's all they did.
Which is crazy. That means that he shouldn't be able to continue to represent him
Right.
because
Oh
they have,
yeah, because they're in direct conflict with each other because of this ballot measure. Yep.
yes. So it's really, yeah, like that he is at lunch, like talking with them about how bad Sunny is, and or not, but like running down how people feel about Sunny, running down how they could
Right.
win, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he came to the office talking about his dad, and then Sidwell showed up to the office as if like he was represented by the office to talk to Alexis.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely they can't be doing that.
They're just doing anything now.
I get. Ah.
Um, last couple things. Josh and Emma. So we have that Josh like gave Emma back this corrupted disc. And then Emma opens up to Jocelyn and tells her that she's actually after their professor because of his history with like animal testing, and that's why she wants so bad to get into um his like summer class or whatever. Um, then they call Jocelyn back to be like, "Are you feeling guilty about this? What's going on?"
Mhm.
I liked the scenes between Jocelyn and Emma. It was interesting to me that they had them kind of bring up Spencer, but not that he was gone. Like it was, or even like they were kind of talking, like Emma was like kind of talking down on Spencer. I was like, "What's happening here?" But they are trying to like reestablish the history between the two of them, possibly to like blow them up later.
Yeah. It just seems really like I felt like this teacher dude had to be up to something more than just animal testing. So when that came out that Emma is still after him about animal testing, and then when Joss reported it, it didn't sound like there was something more to the story. Now I'm just kind of bored. Like, why bring on a whole other actor if he's and why is Jocelyn investigating him if the only thing he's up to is animal testing?
Well, no, it feels like whatever he's trying to test on the animals is like something that the WSB would be interested in. So Emma cares
Oh,
about the animal testing. The WSB cares about whatever the results, whatever he is actually testing.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I
Still
mean, it's
boring.
hard to it's hard to really care about this. Um, but Jocelyn's getting her story. She did get a little bit of a point of view about Dex because we really had like not been talking about Dex. We
Hmm.
really had not been talking about why she chose to be in the WSB and like um, you know, they're also trying to act as if like, oh, you have this new life, but we're like seeing her in her old life, and so that's like really disconcerting. It's like hard to like hear, oh, you're a WSB agent, we should be looking at you differently when like that doesn't really feel like what it is.
Hmm.
Um, I am interested to see how Anna is brought in this. I did see there was going to be a Zoom with the actor that plays Brennan, and then with Finola and with Eden. So I'm assuming because Anna also had like some, you know, meeting and like contact with the professor. So I'm hoping that that does mean that Anna gets brought into this WSB story. I was also like also thinking that maybe if Jocelyn couldn't actually get it, so like her and Emma like get into conflict because Emma finds out something shady about Jocelyn, and that Jocelyn gets this internship, but they're like she can't get enough, and so they have to like bring Emma into the WSB as well. So that part I am intrigued to see, but right now, the way it's playing out, it's really hard for me to care about.
Yeah. And if they did, then it would remind me too much of the Disney Channel show with Zendaya being a teenage.
Oh yeah, that was her. Yeah, that was her show.
Her whole family was in on it, but nobody else was.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Maybe that's where they
Um,
got the idea from.
it is kind of like a bootleg Alias, and now maybe
Yeah.
it's like a bootleg Casey Undercover. It's like a
Undercover. Yeah.
yeah, Joss Undercover. Um, yeah, we'll see. And I think I only had one more thing. Oh, I have two things. So Kai's surgery. We saw him like take a step. We also did not see Drew come to like check on him. We did see Portia and Trina encouraging him. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't care about the story. Um, that's all I got.
Here's what I wrote. What did I wrote? What did I write? Kai didn't die. Good for him. Can't and then I was like, can Trina get her own story now?
Yeah, yeah, it's necessary. This ain't it.
Ah, not it.
They what they should have done was like make the Kai character a art person and
Hmm.
like but bringing him as a football person, we as a show have not ever really cared about football. Like that has not been a thing that we've cared about. And so to bring this brand new character in and kind of write them this way and have Trina be whatever, like I would rather for Trina to be a part of the story with Emma and Jocelyn and not
Hmm.
separate from it
Hmm.
than this. And I think they've kind of always done a disservice to Trina and Jocelyn's friendship in a way because they've always created a situation where Joss had to keep things from Trina. And I'm not mad. I know that some people are always like, oh, that Joss is not a good friend to Trina because of that. I don't subscribe to that. I think but it's always been set up of like, for Trina's safety, she can't tell her everything. So like when
Hmm.
Dex was like undercover, she couldn't tell her like those kind of things, and now she can't tell her that she's part of the WSB, which reminds me a little bit of Alias when Sydney's character like had friends, had a family, couldn't tell them.
Hmm.
But it then does create like a roadblock to Trina's story. I do wonder if when the Geo story comes out, or the Geo thing blows up, if we can actually get Trina talking to him about Taggart. But it does feel like they've closed that out and they want us to forget about Taggart. But they do need to give Trina something to do because this is not good.
Agreed.
Um, and then I just have this other question: is like, why are we not seeing LNL2 together? So we saw Liz at the hospital, like kind of chilling.
Yeah.
And we saw Lucky having a scene with Christina, but I feel like people were really excited for Eleanor too, and now we don't see them together.
Right. And again, what we've requested has not happened. Lucky is not told Elizabeth what happened, Christina. And
Yeah.
so that just puts a kink in it all until he's honest with her. I don't actually want to see them together.
Well, and there you go.
So,
Um, that's all I got for the docket. Do you have any hot take?
Mm, yes, I do.
Tell me, tell me.
Um, they're not hot takes, they're just comments more. Why was Brad wearing lipstick this week? Did he have a red popsicle?
Maybe it was gloss.
It was kind of a dry gloss. Kind of like this.
Mm-mm-mm.
It looked like when you're on Zoom and you use the enhancement, what it looked like. Also, why do they always have, they don't always have it. It's probably his acting choice, but he's always yelling when he's supposed to be relaxing and de-stressing. Even when he was like Dante and him were having a conversation, but they were yelling at each other. Their voices were raised. I need him to speak in a softer tone because I feel like his blood pressure is just going up and down every time he yells at somebody. That needs to
Yeah.
stop. I think that's it. Just random comments. Oh no. Is there an election happening right now? Why are we talking about endorsements? Somebody asked
Yeah.
if somebody asked if Aurora would endorse Laura, and then Lulu asked Ned if he would endorse Laura, and then Ryan, no Drew is asking Portia to have Aurora endorse, the weird guy, the other council person. Why
Which
is
is
there
like
endorsements?
crazy.
Yeah.
Because first of all, that would never happen. But no, they did say that apparently this is like also they just told us this week, but it's also the mayoral election. So
Okay.
it'll be the ballot initiative and the mayoral stuff on the ballot.
Okay. So I'm like, why is there endorsements happening?
But
It
they
didn't
didn't
make
tell
any
us that
sense to me.
before.
So I'm like, okay,
Yeah, no,
there's an
they
election
just.
happening.
Woof. All right, let's get into previews for next week.
Okay.
Monday, Tracy presents a mission to Jason. Maxie seeks Anna's advice. Curtis is suspicious. Emma gets bad news. Jordan updates Laura. Tuesday, Carly warns
Mhm.
Lulu. Curtis confides in Jordan. Trina opens up to Portia. Sonny surprises Laura. Jocelyn makes a promise. Wednesday, Carly and Jason strategize. Willow is heartbroken. Laura loses her cool. Drew makes a discovery. Alexis tries to get the upper hand. Thursday, Lucky does some digging. Lucas visits Elizabeth. Rick receives an offer. Christina does damage control. Gio confides in Sonny.
Mhm.
And Friday, Ava counsels Portia. Nina makes a big ask of Carly. Say no, girl. Um, Sonny, Sonny seeks out Willow. That's weird. Tracy reassures Brooklyn. Lulu is on the hunt.
I did have like one other hot take.
Please
It's
tell
like
us.
giving Gio a storyline outside of the violin was the best thing they could have done for his character.
True, true.
He became that much more interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
Well,
that's interesting. I wonder, yeah, I don't know.
mhm.
We'll see.
Thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. You can buy us a coffee. That link is in the description. And we will see you next week. Bye.